Hey everyone, welcome to That's Cakeable. I'm Janine, and this week I'm going to show you how I made this cute stacked garden critter cake. So I've seen this particular design done many times as a cake topper, but I've not seen it done as a cake before. I thought this design lent itself to show you guys how I put my cake structures together. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys how I make my cake structures. I'm even going to leave a list of the materials I used in the description box below. And if you want to head over to my website, for an extra bonus, I'm going to put up the template for the main cake board for this particular structure. You'll find the link to my website in the description box below. So without any further ado, let's get on with the structure and building of my garden critters cake. I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so pictured here are just some of the things minus the washers and screws that I used to put my structure together. I'm using a standard round board and a custom board that I've cut out for the base of the turtle. Now using the custom board, I've pre-drilled holes into my baseboard so I know where they're going, and I've just hot glued some feet onto the base of that board. Now with the threaded rod that I've used, I am screwing that onto the bottom using washers with a nylon lock in them so they don't go down too far. And then I screw the top on with a washer, a spring washer and another nut, making sure that's nice and secure. Don't panic, like I said, the materials list is below. You will know exactly what I've used. Go ahead and do all 4 of them, and then we go on to our custom cut board. Firstly, I do the center pole. The same thing, screwing it on the bottom, and then making sure that I'm using washers, spring washers, and another nut on top, and tightening that really securely. I do the same for the neck. We need somewhere to secure her cute little head. And then I'm putting some more nuts on the baseboard where the legs are going so that I can now secure my custom cut board to those legs, which are on the baseboard. Now I'm doing this on a very small scale. Like I said, you can get the template at my website and you can upscale everything to suit your needs. I tighten those right on, and then I've taken some aluminium tape and covered everything in that tape to make sure that it's food safe for our cake and ganache to sit on. Anything that you're going to be eating that's touching food, make sure you cover. There she is, ready to start building. Okay, first thing I took was some modeling chocolate in green, and I used that around the base screws and started modeling her little feet and legs. Just squishing that around until I'm happy with the shape. Then I took a sugar shaper and I just made little scores in the front of her feet for her toes. And I went ahead and did the back feet and legs also. Okay, now to secure the cake, I'm just adding a bit of chocolate ganache onto our template board, and I start stacking up my cake as usual over that center pole. Just used a couple of small rounds, which are around the same size, in this case 3 inches, as the baseboard. And then I use a domed top layer, which you don't have to use for a cake this small, but if you're going for a larger cake, it will save you a lot of time and effort. Covered up those legs with a bit of tissue paper so we didn't get crumbs and muck everywhere. And then I just sculpted it into a sort of a rounded shape. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I come in with some ganache and I give that a crumb coat, and then come back in and do a final coat with some more chocolate ganache. Using my flexi scraper to get around all those edges to make sure it's nice and smooth. She's going away. And there she is, ready to cover. Okay, so to cover her, I've taken the same green modelling chocolate, and I believe I mixed 50-50. This may be 50-50 fondant and modelling chocolate, I believe. I've just rolled out a thin piece. I lay that on top of that sphere-ish shape that we've just made and smooth it all down over the circle, cutting off the excess from the edges. And now I wanted to tidy it up, so I've just taken a long rope of fondant and putting some water around the base of the sphere. And then I'm taking that rope and just running it along the bottom edge. Makes it look a lot more tidy. I flatten it out a little bit and make sure that I've covered up any messes or mistakes or seams that I have. Bit out of focus here, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm making her neck now. So I'm just using some white modelling chocolate and I've rolled that out into small snakes. And as I go up, I make the snakes slightly thinner. So I just pop them all the way up that neck rod, leaving a little bit at the top because we're going to need room to put my head on. Then I roll out another piece of my green 50-50 fondant and modelling chocolate, very thin, lay it over the top of that neck that we've just made and tidy up the edges, and there it is, all ready. Okay, now we're going to make her cute little head. So I've just rolled a teardrop shape of modelling chocolate / fondant, and then I've run my hand over the centre, well actually it's about 2/3 of the way down. Just like that, to make an indent where her eyes and her nose sort of meet. I've popped that onto that neck pole that we made, that neck rod, and I think I popped a couple of extra skewers in there just for some added security. Once her head is on and secured, I've just made a few little marks where her eyes will go, a couple of little laugh lines, because she's happy, she's a happy turtle. And then just took my sugar shaper and made an indent for her big happy smile. I've taken 2 very small balls of black fondant and popped them in for her pretty eyes. Now I decided I'd make her a girl, so I'm putting, not the boys can't wear bows, boys can wear bows, but I'm putting a little bow on the top of her head. To make the bow, I just took a rectangular piece of pink fondant and I folded the ends up on each other like that, and then folded that in half. Did that twice, of course, because we need 2 sides to the bow. Then I added another smaller rectangle to her head, attached those 2 sides of the bow to that rectangle, and then flipped it back over the top. Cut off any excess, and she's got a cute little bow. Okay, so I just took a small blossom cutter and cut out some fondant flowers, popped them all over her body, took my very worn edible art paint, which I love, it's just well loved, that's all. Put some white polka dots on her body using my sugar shaper. Then I just took some rosy pink petal dust to give her a little bit of blush. Now she's ready for her friends. Okay, so firstly I'm making the snail. So I'm just sort of taking a ball of fondant and rolling it between my fingers to make it a sort of mushroomy shape at the top. And then I go ahead and I lengthen out the bottom into like a snake shape, keeping it overly sort of top. Then I go ahead and I do the same thing that I did with our turtle's head. Just make sure it's more oval and separate where the head and the nose meet with my hand. Gave her a little smile, or him. Let's make him a him. Let's make this one a ball. And a couple of little holes for the eyes. Took a piece of orange modelling chocolate and rolled it into a ball, then sort of flattened it and made it more into a dome shape for his little house. And then flattened an area on the snail's body for that house to go. I'm now making his little antenna. And some tiny little eyes. I made it exactly the same way as I made the turtle's eyes, just tiny pieces of black fondant that I've put into his little eye sockets. A few holes, 2 holes for where his antenna are going to go. And then tiny little balls put on the end of those antennae for his little snail bits, eyes, snail bits. And then I did the same with this little critter. I put some white polka dots all over him with my edible art paint and gave him some blush cheeks with some petal dust. To attach him to our turtle friend, I just used a little bit of royal icing. I put a hole through the middle of our snail and just slid it over the top of the pole. Now on to making our little grub. Taken a darker green piece of nylon chocolate, wrapped it around the base of the centre pole. A ball. Attach a slightly smaller ball. Slightly smaller ball to the smaller ball. And then I just took like a teardrop shape to finish it off so that's like its little tail. At the head, I started the structure on my sugar so that I had a bit of a hole in the bottom so I could put it over the top of the centre pole. And I made it into a teardrop shape and then puffed out the cheeks a little bit. Eyes and nose and a surprise mouth on him, and put some little white polka dots on him too. To decorate the board, I just took some green royal icing and covered that in some coloured desiccated coconut to make some grasses. As an afterthought, I wanted to give the caterpillar a little bit of style, so I made him French. I don't know why. So I added a little beret and I put one of his little antennae on and a bow tie. And that's it, my cute stacked garden critter cake. Like I said, I will have a list in the description box below so that you can note everything I used to make this cake. Also, don't forget that the template for the base of the turtle will be over on my website at that'scakeable.com. Well guys, I hope I taught you something a little bit about structure this week, or at least how I structure my cakes. Take this one, run with it, upsize it if you want to, if you need more cake, or if you want to make it on this scale but you need more servings, why not just pop them in the middle of a sea of green cupcakes? Well guys, if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell below so you don't miss out on any of my future content. While you're here, and if you'd like to see something else I've done on a bigger scale, don't forget you can check out my pink dinosaur cake here. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. I'm giving you all this stuff so that you can utilize it and make this for yourself. So please don't forget to go and get your cake on. Well, what are you waiting for? Go and get your cake on, go! See you next time.